Let's conclude the sounding of the retreat by the band of the Brigade of Gurkhas. May I get permission to march the band, sir, please? Thank you, sir. By the center! Keep fast!
Honoured guests, Sat Sri Akal. My name is Paul Nansen. I am the Commandant here at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, and it's my huge pleasure to formally welcome you to both Sandhurst and, of course, the Indian Army Memorial Room. I'm delighted that you've chosen us, and Old College in particular, as a setting for your annual dinner. And I can honestly think of no more appropriate place to hold it. May I take the opportunity, before I start, to thank, on behalf of the Army and all the guests here tonight, Dr. Rami Ranger, not only for tonight's event, Rami, but also for the continuing support of the British Sikh Association. And my thanks also tonight to the National Army Museum, who will speak to you later on about the fine display that you see around you here tonight. I say this place is appropriate because here at Sandhurst there is a clear Sikh legacy which stems from the British Army's long association with India. Now, you may or may not be aware that in 1887, the first Sikh enlisted at Sandhurst. Prince Victor Albert J. Duleep Singh was later commissioned into the 1st Dragoon Guards. Whilst here, and having looked at his record, he was noted for his aptitude in military topography and reconnaissance skills, as well as having, quote, very good conduct. But of course, others have followed, and the Sikh association with this place runs much deeper. To my right, if you look closely, is a stained glass window to commemorate the Indian Army service in World War I. In the far right window, you see the image of a Sikh soldier. This was chosen because of the significant contribution made by Sikh regiments during the battles of the northwest frontier in the Third Afghan War. Battles such as Bagh, Stonehenge Ridge, and Kadmak Hill. Those regiments that fought with such distinction, including the Sikh Light Infantry and the 11th Sikh Regiment, have memorials either side of the altar in the Royal Memorial Chapel about 200 metres that way, which forms the very spiritual heart of this academy. It is there that we all gather regularly to remember with pride those who have gone before us. And it is exactly because of that rich vein of history, tradition, service and fighting spirit that I genuinely hope we can attract more Sikhs to join the ranks at Sandhurst. As CGS mentioned, this is something we really are trying hard to address. And maybe you can help. Because one thing we're trying to do is to make sure people understand what Sandhurst is all about, to dispel some of the myths and misconceptions. Here, I can assure you, We don't care about background or religion. Here, it is all about equal opportunity and about helping young people realise their potential. If they have that potential, particularly in leadership, and if they make the standard that we demand quite rightly, then they will become army officers, pure and simple. And the army officer profession still offers opportunity, challenge, adventure, and responsibility. So with that cry for help, I shall leave you to enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you again for choosing the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst as a setting for your annual dinner and for inviting us to join you. And I wish you a very good evening. Thank you.
Good evening, all. I would like to thank all the organisers for the invitation to speak today. My name is Jasdeep Singh, and I'm a curator of the Indian Army collection at the National Army Museum. Now, the National Army Museum was founded right here. All of the paintings and the collections you see around you in this room are from the National Army Museum's collection. But we are currently in Chelsea, and we're currently closed. It's an unfortunate time to be closed during the centenary period of the First World War, but we're closed for redevelopment and we open early in the new year. Now, the museum holds a very rich collection relating to India and the Indian Army, and it's partly because the British were out in India for so long. But the room that we're sitting in today was, long seen as the heart of Sandhurst, and to pay homage to India, the service in India, really tells an interesting story. It's an interesting way to pay homage to the work that was done out in India. Now, I wanted to just touch upon the collection that we have at the National Army Museum. It really was, the Indian Army collection really was the cornerstone of the NAM's collection, and it was founded on the Indian Army collection, once called the Indian Army Museum, actually. Now, the collection charts the journey between India and Britain. The collection spans over 250 years, from the early days of the East India Company, right the way up to the partition of India in 1947. It is about 110,000 objects of the million objects that we have that speak to India, and counting. A lot of these objects have still not been catalogued. And much of this collection relates to Punjab and relates to Sikhs in particular. The stained glass window has been pointed out, but the drawers that you have on the left and the right hand side of you are part of Field Marshal Sir John Chappell's Indian Army insignia collection. It's almost a comprehensive collection of badges, buttons, and insignia. And several of those drawers are dedicated to Punjab and Sikhs in particular. What's quite interesting about those, if you do get time to have a look at some of those drawers, is that you can chart the identity of the Sikhs in terms of the Sikh symbol, the khanda, the origins of the khanda and how it's changed and evolved, and how we've come across and concluded with the modern symbol that we have today. The Sikh collection that we have is also very interesting because we can tell stories about the Raj, the Sikh Raj in the court of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So we hold talwars of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, we hold the earliest known photographs of Sikhs and therefore India ever taken, 1847, just 7 years after the dawn of photography. In that album, it features a very early photograph of Maharaja Dalip Singh. I've just finished a major digitization project which has generated some 21,000 newly digitized images, solely focusing on India. And my speaking today really is an invite for you all to look at our collection, to use our collection, to be able to tell these stories so that we can chart that relationship and arrive where we are today and build new relationships and take that relationship forward. We have a mini pop-up exhibition outside, and I hope to see you all in the museum in Chelsea when we reopen next year. Thank you very much.
Right Honourable Earl Howe, Armed Forces Minister, Major General Nansen, CBE, Commandant Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, Dr. Vrinder Paul, Deputy High Commissioner of India, Honourable Richard Harrington, MP, Minister at the Home Office, Brigadier Mark Abraham, OBE, Brigadier Rajesh Jha of the Indian Army, Air Commodore Chris Luck, MBE, Mr. A.S. Rajan, Minister Coordination at the India House, Lieutenant Colonel Bill Blakely, Mr. Ranjit Singh, OBE, President of the British Sikh Forum International, Mr. Resham Singh, MBE, DL, Mr. Gurmail Singh Malli, President of the Singh Sabha Gurdwara South Hall, the largest Gurdwara outside India, Dr. Sukhbir Kapoor, OBE, General Secretary, British Sikh Association, Member of the British Sikh Association Executive Committee, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. And I would like to acknowledge Kamal Hoti for supporting this event. Kamal is one of those great role models in our community. She goes the extra mile for us, and we are very much grateful and indebted. Thank you, Kamal, for all your support for the British Sikh Association, going back many years. I would like to express my gratitude to the Chief of the Armed Forces, General Nick Carter, Chief of General Staff, for sparing his very valuable time for us and gracing this evening with his presence and making it extra special. We are also indebted to General Nansen, CBE, for hosting this special evening for us, and that too at a place so deep in history. We are deeply touched with the warm hospitality and already feeling at home. We may not leave. It is an honor and privilege for me to be speaking from the Indian Army Memorial Room at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, a place from where illustrious soldiers are trained to defend our way of life at any cost to themselves. This room also reminds us of our common military history going back centuries. It symbolizes our loyalty toward each other and above all for the king and country. We are conscious of the fact that we are receiving this great honor today because of the sacrifices of our fathers and forefathers before us. They fought shoulder to shoulder with the Brits in many battles, including the two great wars, and preserved world freedom. Who can forget the Battle of Saragai, where just 21 brave Sikh soldiers made their last stand and defended a British post against 10,000 Afghan tribesmen. They died fighting with valor until the reinforcement arrived. It was due to their bravery that two crucial British forts, Lockhart and Gulistan, on the northwest frontier were saved. It is worth remembering that the Brotherhood of Khalsa, the Sikhs, was established to uphold human freedom and not to force people to change their religion. Most importantly, the Sikh turban was worn not to oppress or suppress anyone, but to liberate those who were being oppressed in the name of religion. I shudder to think what would have been the future of India today if it wasn't for the supreme sacrifices of Sikh gurus and their followers to uphold human freedom. It is also worth remembering that it was only the Sikhs who could contain the Afghan and stop them from looting and plundering India. Incidentally, Peshawar was once a part of Afghanistan, which the Sikhs annexed to keep the Afghan under control and built a fort at Jamrod to keep them on the other side of the Khyber Pass. We believe we too have to leave a legacy for our children and grandchildren so that they too are respected like we are today. We urge Minister Earl Howe to help us resurrect Sikh regiment in the British Army to bring alive Sikh history of courage and loyalty for the Queen and country. We are aware it will be called the Sikh Regiment, not just to motivate the British Sikhs, but also to serve as a further inspiration for people of all backgrounds who can draw upon the rich heritage of Sikh warriors. The regiment will be called Sikh Regiment, but people from every race, religion would be able to join it and be part of this gallant force. Many of you may recall that the British Navy had ships HMS Punjabi and HMS Sikh. HMS Sikh took part in the sinking of German flagship Bismarck. The Sikh Regiment will raise the profile of Sikhs in Britain and may stop attacks on them as a result of mistaken identity. Regrettably, those who are perpetrating terror in the world also wear beard and turban like the Sikhs. We, the British Sikh Association, are passionate about helping the armed forces recruit Sikhs, and the formation of Sikh Regiment will help us in our endeavor. The regiment will give Sikhs even more sense of belonging to this great country and keep the honor and bravery of their ancestors alive. Finally, I would like to acknowledge the help and support of Warrant Officer Ashok Chauhan, MBE, and Warrant Officer Sachin Honda for their contribution. Colonel Blakely, we are indebted to you for spending a great deal of time in making sure that everything goes like clockwork. The members of the British Sikh Association are proud to be Indian, Sikhs, and also very proud to be British. We find there is no contradiction being both loyal to our country of origin, India, and to country of domicile, Britain. One from where we originate and the other where we have made our homes and where our next generation will live. The committee members are all successful in their right and lead very busy life, yet find time to pay tribute to their gurus by promoting their philosophy of peaceful coexistence. I am indebted to them for their help and support in projecting our community for what we are, a positive force doing good for mankind. Each one of us is an ambassador for our gurus, and we must live up to their ideals of social and political justice in the world. Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for inviting me here today. It's not the first annual dinner of the British Sikh Association I've been to. I really am running out of fingers and thumbs to count them. But I would like to say it was a pleasure to meet the Chief of General Staff this evening, and he said to me, well, what's it like being an MP and a minister now with everything that's going on with the referendum? So I said, well, it's like not just like a child watching your mother and father having an argument in public, but actually having to see it on primetime television as well. So very pleased to be here this evening as an escape from the latest debate on television tonight. But Rami, I was very interested. I've heard your calls before for a Sikh regiment, and of course it's completely beyond my remit and level to comment upon that. But I would like to say that I've seen what today really is a Sikh regiment in action, and that was a few days ago in the Strand when I saw the main Sikh community charity in this country arriving on the Strand with at least 100 volunteers giving food and other sustenance to homeless people. Because that is what Sikhism is. People think, in many ways, particularly as we are here today, for the Sikhs being a warrior nation. And most people who know Sikhs, know a little bit of history, think of that. But not that many people in this country know the other things that Sikhism stands for. And we know that charity and hospitality is a very important part of it. Not just dinners giving money to charities, which of course yourself and many people here, along with myself, have been to many of those, but I'm seeing what actually happens in communities, like I saw with homeless people on the Strand, like I've seen in my own community at Watford. And I think really the Sikh people should be absolutely commended for that. But ladies and gentlemen, the military and the British Sikh Association have actually learned a trick tonight which politicians should learn, and that is, if you're having speakers, have them before the food, and that way they'll be quick. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for having me, and good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Honourable Minister, Honourable Member of Parliament, Mr. Harrington, the Commandant of the Academy, Dr. Rami Ranger, distinguished guests. To begin with, I would like to thank the British Sikh Association and all the office bearers, all the members, for inviting me to this wonderful evening. As Honourable MP mentioned, that it's not for the first time that he's attending this event. The same holds true for me as well. This is my third consecutive event, this annual get-together with the British Sikh Association, and we in the High Commission, we are extremely proud of the achievements of the British Sikhs and the larger Indian community. And today the focus, I find, is on British Sikh soldiers or Sikh soldiers. But I would say that in practically all walks of life, the British Sikhs have done exceedingly well. You named the area, and our people, the Indian origin people, they have done very, very well. And today, I think the atmosphere here, we have Indian soldiers, we have British soldiers, and the gathering in this room today, I think, is a brilliant example of the excellent, the wonderful friendship that we have between India and the United Kingdom, the two great countries. And here, the stained glasses, we can see Indian origin soldiers, the British Sikh soldiers. And I think this is also the time, this is also the year when we commemorate the contribution, the sacrifices made by the Indian soldiers in the Great War efforts, the First War, the Second War. I was in Brighton about 10 days ago at the India Pavilion, and we remembered and we paid tribute to the Indian soldiers, including the British Sikh soldiers. As I said, we have soldiers, Indian soldiers, British soldiers in this room, but we also remember the soldiers who are here in spirit. We can see the stained glass, and many more. And we would like to pay tribute on behalf of the Indian High Commission in London to the British Sikh soldiers for their contribution. And I'm very happy that the venue that is chosen, Sandhurst Academy, I think is very, very appropriate, and I'm delighted to be here. Thank you very much.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's an honour and a pleasure for me to be here. For those of you who don't know me, I am Frederick Howe, one of the team of Defence Ministers in the Ministry of Defence. You may have come across the expression to steal one's sandwiches. It's often used in the Ministry of Defence, at least, to refer to someone who is talking about a similar theme to the one that you want to talk about. I think we've heard a number of compelling speeches this evening, and I feel that most of my sandwiches have gone. So just let me offer up a few ministerial crumbs before we settle down to our dinner, which I know we're looking forward to. I think it's worth starting by posing a question. How is it that Sikhs, and indeed other sections of our diverse communities, have been able to contribute so much to our country? Not just militarily, as we've heard this evening, but economically and culturally as well. I think the answer lies in the example set by the life story of the recent winner of the annual Sikh Awards, which I was fortunate enough to attend back in April. And I'm talking, of course, about that great figure, Judge Samota Singh. Samota Singh was born in Nairobi. For those of you who are unfamiliar with his life story, he was just 16 when his father died, and he was charged with bringing up 5 younger siblings. He worked during the day, and he pursued his bar studies at night. And he became the first judge to sit on an English bench wearing a turban instead of a horsehair wig. And it, to my mind, is Samota Singh's great virtues, his values, determination, courage, selfless commitment, that seem to me to typify the Sikh approach to life. And as he said himself, and I think these words are wonderful, the need of the hour is for enlightened men with a clear vision, men of discipline, men of spiritual strength, men of moral courage who stand like a rock. And those values are exactly what we demand of men and women in our armed forces. They're precisely why we regard Sikhs as such an asset and why we want to see many, many more entering our ranks. Now, of course, we highly value the work that our 230 Sikh armed forces personnel are already putting in, many of them serving all around the world. But the problem here is that we're barely scratching the surface of what's possible, and that's why we've been working hard to make the armed forces, if you like, a home from home. Whether it's offering spiritual support, moral guidance, pastoral care through our Sikh chaplain, Mrs. Mandeep Kaur, whether it's providing practical support through the British Armed Forces Sikh Association, or whether ensuring that there are areas of worship in all our establishments on land, on board ships, even actually on board submarines. But there's still a lot more to do. The Prime Minister has directed that Defence must recruit 10% of our workforce from a black, Asian and minority ethnic background by 2020. Why does he take this so seriously? Well, it is because he knows that as our population becomes more diverse, we must do more to represent the people that we serve. And he knows that in a world that is fraught with division, despite, ironically, being more closely connected than ever, we can only benefit from the insight of those who understand the different cultures that we encounter. And above all, he doesn't want us to miss out on the huge wealth of untapped talent that is out there. Yet if we're going to meet that challenging target, we're going to need your help, frankly. We need you, all of you here in this room, to help us show young people that the British Armed Forces welcome everyone, whatever your colour or your creed or your class. We need you to show them that this is a place that seeks out those with ability and ambition, that this is a place of opportunity. How can we all do that? Well, maybe we can talk about all that over at dinner shortly. But I would just say in answer to Rami that a Sikh regiment is certainly an idea we've been looking at for a while. And I can assure him that we want to consider it from all angles. But the main aim that we have here is to increase recruitment of military personnel from all ethnic and religious backgrounds. Sikhs, certainly, but not only Sikhs. I'm as keen as anyone to look at every sort of way whereby we can better recognize the contribution that Sikh soldiers make to our armed forces. So we need to keep talking about how best to do that. But let me just conclude by saying that I believe we should tackle the recruitment challenge with confidence, not with trepidation. Here in this magnificent room, we are reminded that the UK and our superb Sikh community have for a long, long time made history together. And whatever the hard challenges in the days to come, working shoulder to shoulder, wearing our shared values on our sleeves, I have no doubt that we can all make history together again. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, Army generals and officers, respected guests, ladies and gentlemen, Sikhs and Army are very closely related. In the rural Punjab, there might not be a single house which has not contributed to first to the British Indian Army and then in the independent India to the Indian Army. Sikhs have produced countless renowned army officers who have sacrificed their lives for the defense of those countries for whom they have fought for as part of the British Indian Army. Contribution of Sikhs towards the Indian Defence Forces is the highest with respect to its population size in India. This community has won the maximum number of gallantry awards since independence and many Victoria Crosses before independence as defence personnel in the British Indian Army. Many British generals have praised the chivalry and bravery of the Sikhs in the battlefield and have also praised the honour of their turban. Lieutenant General Reginald Savary and Major General B.W. Key are a few names amongst those generals. Appointment of a Sikh defence minister in Canada and a Sikh general as Singapore Army chief are a few examples of the respect of the Sikhs in the army field away from the Indian borders. We very humbly request to the British Defence Ministry to consider to have a Sikh regiment as a part of the British Army. At the end, I want to propose a vote of thanks to all who have participated and helped to organize this evening. Our thanks are due, and there is a long list. Right Honourable Earl Howe, Armed Forces Minister, Major General Nansen, CBE, Commandant Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, Mr. Virendra Paul, Deputy Virendra Paul, Deputy High Commissioner of India, Honourable Richard Harrington MP, Minister at the Home Office, Brigadier Mark Ibrahim OBE, Brigadier Rajesh Jha, Air Commodore Chris Luck MBE, Mr. A.S. Rajan, Minister Coordination at the India House, Mr. Ranjit Singh OBE, President Sikh Forum, Mr. Gurmail Singh Malhi, President Singh Sabha Gurdwara, South Hall, Lieutenant Colonel Bill Blakey, all staff at the headquarters, regional commands, and the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, for making this evening possible. Thanks is also due to ZTV, Dhruv Gadvi, TV6 channel, Minreet Kaur, for photography, Ranjit Walia, and for tasteful food which we will taste shortly, Raga Mama, and above all members of the British Sikh Association who always work as a team and stand behind their chairman, Dr. Rami Ranger, to make their function a fabulous and great success. Thank you very much.